Hi, it's Suzie from Nail Care Education, and I've had quite a few comments on my YouTube channel about how to buy a drill, what bits to look for, what the different bits do. That's what we're going to discuss when we get right back. One of the number one things to look for is obviously price point. When you're looking at drills, they range anywhere between $50 to could be $800. Obviously, when you spend more money, you can get a more high quality drill. I'm in Canada, so this price here of this drill was when I bought it a few years ago, it was about $250. This one was $450, this one was about $750, $800, and this one was $50. One of the really important things to look for in a drill is making sure that it has 25,000 RPMs, rotations per minute, and it should be at least 25,000. Anything under doesn't give you enough strength. And what I mean by that is when you're running your drill, when you turn your drill on, and we'll just do that, and when you turn it on, you can hear that, right? This one's a little bit louder, but it's a great drill and it runs very smooth. If you get a drill that doesn't have enough power, meaning the 25,000 RPMs or over, this one I believe is 30, when you're working it, it'll actually stall out, it'll stop. But a good drill with 25,000 RPMs will keep going, and that means you can take a lot of product off when you're drilling. Anything lower than that, the drill will just stall out when you're trying to run it. So when you're trying to go zzz, and you stop it, or when you try to take away a lot of product, it'll actually stop. It just won't go. It just doesn't have the power. So this little drill doesn't have that. I think this was about 15,000 RPMs. So you do need something to have 25,000 or over, okay? Now this drill here, it's really not very pretty. They make drills like this now that are really pretty, and what's really funny is 3 or 4 years ago, drills were a lot more expensive. And I bought this one for about $250, $300, where this one I bought for $450, and this one I bought for $750 the same time I bought this one. So drills have come down a lot in price now. So when I bought this for $250, this one's at the same time I bought this one for $750. It's a much better drill, but it's come down so much that I wouldn't even buy this now. This one I got for $450 and it's equivalent to this, if not better. And one of the things that makes this one better for me is this doesn't have a coil cable, so it doesn't get hooked up on things. When you're working, believe it or not, that does sound weird, but this coil cable does get hooked up on like the drawer or the desk, and it's annoying. So that's kind of nice to look for. I also really like this drill here, how they've designed the drill bits go in the top. That's really handy when you're trying to retrieve a drill bit. I also like the fact that when I'm working, that the button, the turn on button, is on the side. That's really handy. And then when you're dialing it, I really like this too, that I can just turn it up. It also has a foot pedal. All these usually come with a foot pedal, which is really advantageous if you can learn to work the foot pedal. It would shave off about 15, maybe 20 minutes of your time just because you're not turning it on and off and stopping. You can just keep going with the foot pedal, okay? That's kind of cool. So handpiece size, this one here is relatively slender, and if I'm going to be looking at a drill that I'm going to be using for a long time and getting a good quality drill, I want something that's rather light and easy to hold in my hand too. That's really important. So when you're working all day long, it's not a really heavy drill weighing your hand down. I find this drill, my hands are a little bit smaller too. This hand is quite a bit thicker, and I find it a little bit more awkward. I guess it's like a thick Sharpie pen. If you're writing all day long, you wouldn't want to do that. You'd want a more slender, and I guess you can see the difference in the sizes between these two. So this one definitely is much nicer to hold. When you're starting out though, getting a less expensive drill, maybe with a thicker handpiece, is an advantage until you really get going, and then you can afford to spend money on a bit more of a nicer, more streamlined drill. And if you ever drop a drill like this with the bit in it, you may turn it on, and when you turn it on, that might just go do-do-do-do-do-do-do. That's not good. That means you may have broken something inside here. So try never to drop it. When you're purchasing a secondhand drill, I'd also recommend that you do turn it on and run it and make sure that it isn't going wobbly, because that would be a real bummer to get that home and find out that it's just wobbly and you can't work that. That means the chuck inside needs to be fixed, and that can take a while shipping it off and trying to find somebody to do it. That's another problem. I strongly advise against going to the hardware store and picking up a power tool for nails. It's not designed for nails. Your bits might fit in them, but it's not meant for natural nails. These are specifically designed and meant to be worked on natural nails. Bits make a big difference in your daily routine. If you don't have the right bit, It could take you a really long time or you can never get it done at all. But if you have the right bit, man, you can just motor through some stuff. This is a Mandrel, and this is the Arbor band. This is great for natural nails. If you get the medium and the fine, you just place each Arbor band on top of your Mandrel, and then you can slip it into your drill. This is great for prepping the natural nail. I would use this all the time on the natural nail, okay? It's perfect for it. When I'm taking off a lot of product, this is a Carbide Bit, and this would be more of a medium version I'll add in there. When I'm taking off a lot of product, somebody's coming in for a fill, or I've done one of those 3D designs full of roses or something, this guy takes it off really fast. And this is why you need a good strong drill when you're doing it at 25,000 RPMs or more. So when you're filing that stuff off, this guy's like I call it the meat grinder, my hamburger bit. If you slip onto the finger, you're gonna do some serious damage. So this is never meant to go on natural nail. It's meant for the acrylic and taking a lot of thickness off, changing out color, changing out design, doing a removal, getting rid of it. Oh, this one, I wouldn't work without it. It changes the world. It changed our time from doing stuff like that would take 2.5 hours. We can get it down to 1. This is a Carbide Bit as well. And it's got the round head on it, which is a great thing because it's really called a safety bit. And that is when this guy goes around the cuticles like that, less cutting. It's much, much less opportunity to cut somebody than when you got someone like this with a sharp flat top that can cut right into a cuticle. See the difference between the round head and the flat top? This one's much more, they call it the safety bit, so you can go around the cuticle and it's much less likely to cut somebody because you don't have that sharp edge. So that's a really cool kind of bit. Some girls do use this for the natural nail as well. If you're good with a drill and you have a nice light touch and you know what you're doing, you're nice and even, then yeah, you could use that one for the natural nail as well. This one, it's called a diamond bit, and there's actually a little diamond dust in there. We used to use these in the old days, but we don't use them as much anymore because with the world of gel that's come in, we just do a clear overlay and it likes to be buffed. But this used to be so that we would sculpt the nail and finish it, and this would smooth it over and prep it for polish. But like I say, we don't use these so much anymore. This one's my favorite bit. I would not work without it. It makes Frenches a dream. Now it's a very small barrel on it. Some people would call it like the 2-week bit, but I call it my French bit. And if you noticed, it's not quite straight up and down. It has a slight angle like that a little bit. It goes like a little bit of a fan, not straight up, but fanned out a little. And when you are doing cutting in for French, this bit is brilliant. I wish I invented it actually. When you cut into making a French, because of that span like this, you can make a nice round corner and go so smooth when you're cutting in your French line. You don't have to go little short things because of that little flare that it does. It was a brilliant idea. I love that bit. I wouldn't do a French without it. So those are my collection of bits. That's what I use on a daily basis. I love them. This bit I never use. I'll just show it to you because I happen to have it in my collection. It's called the football bit. Before they invented this brilliant little bit with the flare out for French, they used to use this. I don't really get it, and that's why I guess I never used it. But this guy would be the same type of thing. If you wanted to make a line, you would cut into it. But I don't like it because it kind of feathers out on both sides. To me, you need one real sharp cut to do a French. That kind of softens the edge for French for me, so I'm not a real big fan of this. But if you're just wanting to make little lines and little divots and fill it in with different colors, that could come into play. If you wanted to make little deep holes, I guess you could drill. If you wanted to put gems in it, I suppose, if you weren't going too far down. There's lots of other things I guess you could invent for that, but I'm not a fan for that one. So those are my favorite bits that I use. Oh, and there is another one I don't have right here right now, but you can get a bit that's quite a bit longer. It looks like almost like a bit of a needle. Those are not meant to go in the cuticle, which some people think it is. You can clean up the edges. It's not meant for that. What they're meant for is just to clean up underneath. So there's kind of a long one. Just be careful you don't hit the person's skin underneath. But those can be nice to just clean up underneath. Cool, so that's bits. Hope that helps. Drills are an essential part of my day. I wouldn't want to work without it. It saves me a lot of time. I hope this video helps you with a few tips on buying your next drill. Okay, I'll see you in the next video.